Who you once were can't come with you where you're going right now. We are existing in a timeline where anything that doesn't align with our authentic expression will disintegrate. It will not last. It can't, because you have already tapped into the highest version of yourself, which is your inner child. You've already tapped into an energy of authenticity, of self love, of honoring the inner knowing that dwells within you. You have a newfound respect for your intuition, for your connection to God, and you have exceeded this 3D reality that tells us that in order to be worthy of the things that we want and the dreams that we crave, that we have to suffer for them. In this new timeline, we have to leave behind the scarcity mindset. We have to leave behind the idea that we have to suffer to achieve. We have to suffer to be worthy. I think I'm speaking to a collective that consciously understands that, but subconsciously still carries some of that fear. That if I allow myself to actually breathe, if I allow myself to have space in my life where I'm not filling my time with productive things, what happens? I won't be able to accomplish the things that I want. I'm not worthy of the things that I want, because then I'm not working for it. But I think that on a deeper level, you guys know that the truth is, in order to get into a space where the things you want in the spirit are manifesting in your physical reality, the second ingredient to action is faith. Faith without works is dead, but action without faith is just as dead. If you're acting and you don't have faith, then where are you going? There's no real intention there. You're working to work. You're working to suffer. You're working to prove that you're worthy. But when you have faith, you already know that you're worthy. You already know that what is destined for you is already yours. And I think that many of us have transitioned into this timeline where we have an intuitive understanding of that. And so now we're grappling with, well, how do I create from this new foundation, which is this place of knowing that anything is possible, and this space of knowing that I'm worthy. I think many of us have had past experiences where we've been jaded by life, right? Like, we had faith when we were kids. We had these big dreams, and the world placed these limitations on us. The world told us who to be and how to remain safe. The world projected their narrative. The world projected its narrative onto us, and we adopted it as our own because we wanted connection. We wanted belonging. We were made to feel like the things that we believed in or the dreams that we had were impractical or wrong to want. And that's what shame does. Shame, while I believe that every emotion serves a purpose, I think shame can be one of the most dangerous emotions that humans experience and then perpetuate onto one another, right? Because you are basically taking away someone's belief in themselves. When you shame them, you are projecting your own fear of inadequacy onto other people. And that is what shame is. It's your own fear of either your own potential or your fear of not having potential. that you're projecting onto other people. And that's what happens to us as children, often by adults under the guise of trying to keep you safe. No, you just don't want to realize that, you just don't want to acknowledge that there's a possibility that someone else's experience might be different from your own. Because when you see that other people are capable of exceeding where you've, I guess, stopped or where you gave up, you then realize that maybe you could have done more. Maybe had you believed and continued having faith and believed in yourself more, you could have accomplished it. So I feel like I'm talking to a collective where maybe your light had been stifled by people that you loved deeply, you know? And sometimes it's not even conscious, you know? Sometimes people really are just trying to protect you. And sometimes it's just through people's actions where we adopt these narratives that, oh, if I behave in that way, if I believe in those things, I'm going to end up like that person. You know, we begin to see the people in our lives as cautionary tales, and we then take that and turn it into excuses as to why we shouldn't try and why we should avoid becoming the people that we want to be, and why we should avoid trying to achieve the dreams that we have. That's where the shame comes in, right? But I feel like we're leaving that behind. I think I'm speaking to a lot of people that have left that behind, because what that is a lie, right? The truth of the matter is, you have come to this understanding that you are worthy, and that who you've always wanted to be is who you have always been. And the lie told us that you can never become this version of yourself, because that version of yourself would require you to believe in yourself on a deeper level. And the world doesn't want you to do that. The lie blocks us from truly seeing ourselves. And so when we think of becoming, when we are becoming, we are not really changing in the spirit, right? Because the spirit always is, right? When we're becoming, we are simply shedding the lies that we've been taught to believe about ourselves. We are shedding projection. We are shedding shame. We are shedding indifference. We are shedding a fear of having faith, a fear of believing in ourselves, a fear of hope. We are shedding our fear of our own potential. And what's left when you remove all of those lies and excuses and those narratives? It's just you. It's just you and your own energy. And when you're in your own energy, you realize that your own energy is so abundant and so potent and so powerful in its raw, unfiltered form. And when you're in that raw, unfiltered form, that's where you're able to create. And that's where you're able to manifest the life you've always wanted. The life that, it's not even just about the life you've always wanted, the life that you're meant to live, your destined path. So I'm speaking to a collective who I believe has this understanding, right? You have this awareness that you have officially entered a new timeline, and that your new foundation is rooted in understanding your worthiness and understanding that who you've always wanted to be is who you already are. But I think that there's a little bit of fear that I'm sensing, where you're being faced with everything you've ever wanted and you're seeing the possibility of it, but there's still a little voice in your head that's afraid of going towards it, because maybe you're afraid of making a mistake. Maybe, ooh, confirmation from the wind. That's crazy. Maybe you're afraid that the thing that you've always wanted, is it the right thing to want? Maybe you're afraid that it could be so much more magical than you ever envisioned. And that scares you, because then you have to face yourself and realize, like, I've been powerful all along. And I told myself these lies partially to keep myself safe from having to experience the grandness of my own energy. And you realize how much work you did to keep yourself in this victimhood, right? And that's scary because it breaks your worldview, right? You get to the fifth step and then you see the sixth one, and the sixth one suddenly feels dangerous because your ego is like, oh my gosh, like there can't be more beyond this. If there's anything more beyond this, it isn't real. It's the devil. It's a trap. There can't be more. But your higher self, who you are stepping into in this new timeline, understands that you are infinite because God is infinite and God is within you. There's no separation between us and God. You can't limit something like God. You can't limit that. You're limitless. And so understanding that in the 5D is what's going to manifest the material things into the 3D. I think we are finally being presented with everything we've ever wanted, the things that we've prayed for years, the things that we've worked for in the spirit. It's all coming into fruition, and we're skeptical of it because it's coming easily. We fear that it is coming in too easily because the ego tells us that in order to achieve the things that we want, we have to suffer for them. And that is the biggest lie. We believe that we have to suffer, we have to burn ourselves out, we have to sacrifice the things that we love and the people that we love. And sometimes we do in certain contexts of our evolution because those relationships and those environments really will not serve us and propel us forward in our evolution. But a lot of the times, we believe we have to do those things because we feel like we have to suffer to be deserving. But the truth is, we always were deserving, right? So as we lay down this new foundation, the new foundation is hope. The new foundation is belief that we are limitless and that our life can look just as limitless. We're skeptical of the things that we wanted coming in easily. But here's the other thing, the other side of the coin, right? It didn't come in easily. A lot of the work that you did in the spirit, shadow work, praying to God, allowing the universe to change you, allowing the universe to reveal things to you that you didn't want to see about yourself, about people in your life, the ways in which you've had to learn to surrender, right? And stop trying to control everything and everyone. All of that, all of those tests were put in place to develop your faith in yourself, the faith in the God in you. For me, all of these tests have developed my intuition and my faith and my trust in my intuition. Now more than ever, I trust myself so much. Whereas in the past, I used to feel like I needed to ask people for their opinions. I needed their validation. I needed people to confirm the things that I felt. I no longer need that because I've seen the things that I've felt manifest into reality. I've seen the things that I've sensed happen. I've seen the words that I've spoken form in the 3D. The blessings that I've spoken over people, the things that I've prayed for myself, I've seen it come into fruition. So I believe in my intuition. I trust in myself. And that's another thing that we are learning to do in this time. Not only are we learning it, because I think that we have gotten to a point where like we have no choice but to trust ourselves. So I feel like a lot of us are comfortable with trusting ourselves. But I think it's being open to accepting and receiving where that takes us. And where that's taking us is to the blessings that we prayed for. Just because a lot of the work that we've done, and granted, I'm sure you've worked for the things that you wanted in the 3D, but just because a lot of that work was also done in the 5D, right, in the spiritual world, that doesn't make it any less significant. If anything, it's the most significant, because what are we if we are not spiritual beings living a human experience? This is just a 3D body. Our souls are forever. Our souls are limitless. And so when you have that understanding, you realize that the work in the spirit is the only work, because the spirit comes before the 3D. The 5D is before the 3D, right? Your internal world, the nature of your character, where your soul is at in its journey, your belief system, right? That is what is needed to create what you are physically experiencing in your reality. Everything you are experiencing in your reality is simply a projection of what is happening internally. And so, when these blessings are here, when everything we've wanted is in the 3D, I think it scares us because sometimes we are, I think it scares us because we've gotten so comfortable living in this 3D world that we undermine the value of the 5D work that we've done. So when those blessings are here, right, I think we're skeptical because we aren't really acknowledging the work that we've done in the spirit and how important that is. Your physical world right now is showing you, it's literally reflecting back to you the work that you've done in the spirit. So see that as confirmation and do not fear it, because I feel like I'm speaking to a collective. I feel like I'm speaking to a collective that fears it. You're skeptical of getting everything you've ever wanted. And it's because there's a little part of you that feels like you should have had to suffer for it, or you should have had to work harder for it. You did the work. The truth is, you never had to suffer for it because it was destined. But that suffering led to you now understanding that you never had to suffer. And so you've broken through that illusion. And so now we're in this really amazing space in life where we can create from this foundation of knowing that we have always been worthy. We're knowing that our authentic expression is the highest frequency and is something that we should always continue to honor. That there was never anything wrong with the things that we wanted as kids. That being childlike, being playful, that our desire for more, our desire for certain experiences, relationships, that our pleasure was never a negative thing and was never something to be ashamed of. When you tap into that energy and understand that shame is simply a tool. Hi! When you understand that shame is simply a tool to keep you small and to limit you, you realize that I got a little distracted by those guys. But when you realize that shame is simply a tool to keep you small, and to block you from your destiny, now you can't unsee that. And so when you free yourself of shame, that is when your authentic expression can fully manifest everything that you've ever wanted and everything that was rightfully yours. So now we're in this beautiful space where we can create from our authenticity, from our authentic selves, and the things that we genuinely like, and the people that we genuinely are, and the things that we authentically believe in. One thing I've noticed is that as I've healed, I've gotten my weird energy back. Okay, like I've always been a weird girl. And I've always had a strange sense of humor. And I don't think that ever truly went away, but I definitely hid behind a facade because I was afraid of being judged by certain people. I was afraid that my weirdness would like freak certain people out, and it would block me from the relationships and the friendships that I wanted. But now that I've gotten to a place where I do not have any shame in my authentic self, my opinions, any of that. The things that I want, I embrace and embody that. I am openly weird and I don't care how it's perceived. I don't. I genuinely don't, because I know that I'm worthy and I don't need anyone else to tell me that. So, I want you guys to know that everything that's coming in for you, you worked for and you earned it. Who you're becoming, you have always been. And even if you're feeling resistance towards it, I want you to still go for it, because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, right? Everything that's coming for you, this is a huge opportunity to build the life of your dreams from a place of true alignment, from a place where you can honor yourself, where you don't have to hide, where you don't have to fake anything, where you can just truly be who you've always been and love on yourself and know that you're deserving of a life that where you can get everything that you want and you can still actually love what you're doing and love who you are and not have to compromise on your integrity or anything like that. So, yeah, that is the message that I needed to share with you guys today. And I'm just so excited to see where we go from here, how we expand from here. And just remember to allow yourself to receive and have faith, because things are working out for you and you know that. And anytime you feel anxious about that, just lean into gratitude. Just lean into gratitude. That is going to be the grounding energy as we continue to transition into this new life. Um, Sit with the space, ask it questions, ask what it's trying to tell you, allow yourself to play, allow yourself to enjoy. Oh, there's a bee. Bumblebees might be significant. That's a wasp, actually. Oh, okay. Um, Allow yourself to play, allow yourself to enjoy where you are and who you're becoming, and this present moment where things still feel kind of up in the air, but you can feel them grounding. Dude, you get to create whatever life you want now. It's yours, it's available to you. Like, honor it.